Hello friend, welcome to Borgcast the Animated Series 1.3 with Peter, Amory and Lila.
Hello!
We have a bit of previously from More Troubles from Purry. We were talking about, we didn't think that it would make any difference there, a ship being full in space because no gravity. Actually, I was going to give this to you because I don't understand it, so you read it.
Okay, fair enough. And Purry writes, so, on extra mass being an issue in space, it is. Basically, weight and mass are different things, with weight being mass plus gravity, hence standing on a set of...
Hang on, slow down. Weight is mass plus gravity.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you haven't got weight in space because you haven't got gravity,
yes,
but you still have mass.
How do you still have mass?
Because you still got stuff that needs to move.
Yes, but if you're in 0G, why does that matter?
Because you want to go somewhere rather than just drift.
Right.
So you still need force. Let me read what Purry writes.
Okay, maybe it'll explain it. Okay.
Right, okay. Weight and mass are different things, with weight being mass plus gravity. Hence, standing on a set of scales in a descending lift will see your weight drop, but your mass will remain the same. You don't get shorter, for example.
No, that's a completely different thing.
Well, but mass is overall volume, I suppose.
Yes, but why does that matter in space where there's no gravity? I'm confused.
Because...
Carry on.
Sorry.
We should have got Purry on for this.
In space...
He could have explained it to me as he would to a toddler.
In space, the Enterprise still has mass and force, mass and acceleration are all related. So to accelerate with a larger mass, the Enterprise will need to produce a greater force.
But they're in zero gravity. Why does that matter? Because surely it only matters if you're pushing against something, which you're not in space.
Well, yeah, but you still have to go somewhere. Okay. Oh, let me finish Purry's feedback. Sorry, Purry, I'm trying. And then I'll try a different way of explaining it and see if it helps you.
Okay.
Unless you understand it already when Purry says it, in which case I will say nothing because I might confuse you more.
Right, okay.
In space, of course, if you aren't under the influence of gravity from a planet or moon,
yes,
once you get moving, your speed remains constant. But if you want to speed up or slow down, it takes a force, and more mass means more force is needed. But I haven't looked at inertia since my second year of civil engineering and can't remember those equations. Hope my poorly remembered science corner has been entertaining and informative.
I still don't understand why it matters if you're in 0G.
Right, okay. I'm going to try... This isn't 0G, but this is less G and might help you understand because we're talking about things that you can understand that happen on our planet.
Okay.
Seawater, it makes you buoyant, doesn't it? Float. Yeah. Right. You can't do that in like a lake without... Do you see what I mean? It takes the salt... Not as easily.
But space isn't salty.
Oh, God. You have learnt to float. Okay, let's compare...
5 years later.
It's not just because you're not in zero gravity.
It sounds to me like you're trying to argue that in space there is like friction, and because that's what you have to push it against. There isn't no friction.
No, there isn't, but you have to... The default is not...
10 years later.
For me, that doesn't make any sense in space. But anyway, what we've ended up with, I don't understand how space works. So at some point, some sort of science lesson with Purry playing Johnny Ball is going to be necessary for me to get my head around this.
Okay.
Yeah, and he'll have to do like a song and dance bit because that's what Johnny Ball did to explain things.
So it's not going to be think of a number.
Yeah, it'll be think of an idiot. I don't know. Shall we move on?
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure most of that 5 hours will hit the cutting floor room floor.
I tried, Purry, I'm sorry.
Moving on to tonight's episode, I think, are we?
Yes.
Oh, thank heavens for that.
The Infinite Vulcan.
The Infinite Vulcan.
Don't try and make sense of this one.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, the title makes bugger all sense, but starters. I mean, why Infinite? I mean, it's clearly not. I mean, how would they animate Infinite, for heaven's sake? The Very Big Vulcan, I guess, wasn't a great title, but it's more accurate than the Infinite Vulcan. Yeah. Unless they were going to make infinite copies, but they don't actually say that. Anyway, it's written by...
Walter Koenig. I spotted this.
You did. He'd written the script for something else and asked Roddenberry's secretary, Susan Sackett, to type it up. This was pre-word processor days. Roddenberry saw the script, liked what he read, and commissioned Koenig basically to produce a script for the animated series.
Nice.
Walter claimed to have been inspired by stories about cloning in the papers, which makes some sense, although I don't think anyone has ever suggested that cloning makes giants. I mean, where that comes from, I don't know.
I don't know.
But maybe there's a scientific explanation for that. I mean, Dolly the sheep wasn't like massive, was she?
I don't understand that bit.
Maybe it's a result of the many, many rewrites he had to do to please Roddenberry, which put him off writing for the series again, understandably.
Yeah.
That's a typical Roddenberry thing.
Yeah.
So, change the thing again. Change it again. Yeah. Anyway, of course, Koenig will be somebody we'll be seeing a little more of in Babylon 5 in the not too distant future. He wrote 7 of the scripts for shows that I have never heard of.
Oh, so, God, name them.
I can't, because I've never heard of them.
Okay.
So I didn't make a note of them.
Okay.
Do you really want me to look them up? I'll look them up if you want me to.
Yeah, just in case
I'm looking them up.
Okay.
I'm looking up. Come on, IMDb. Don't let me down now. So, Land of the Lost. Oh, I know.
No.
What Really Happened to the Class of 65. I guess they got old.
Yeah.
Family. God, that sounds dull, doesn't it? Ran for 4 years, that. The Powers of Matthew Starr.
Wow.
Now, that looks at least vaguely interesting.
I want to know what that is.
The adventures of a high school student, Matthew Starr, who is actually a superpowered alien prince from another world. Oh, it looks cheesy as hell. They've all got cheesy smiles.
Oh, dear.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Although, here, one of the characters is called Chip Fry. Wow, well done for that. And Inalienable, all one word. You see what they did there?
Okay.
So he was, yes, involved in the sci-fi there. He's also got a couple of upcoming projects, apparently, from 2012, so I don't think that one's getting made. Handball, that's just a foul, isn't it? And Renegades, 2017 to 2017. Don't think that's seen the light of day either. And he's only the story consultant on it anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we went on that little journey there of discovery and found feck all.
Sorry.
I told you it wasn't interesting.
Sorry. I just don't like you deciding for me.
Okay, well, now you know. Are you happy?
Yes, and I'm still intrigued by the cheesy Matthew Starr thing.
Oh, you want to see the picture? Let's make it now.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Oh.
Look that one up on IMDb, folks.
Yeah, that's
like
a
an
picture
advert
and a half.
for toothpaste. It's a plan.
Yes, it is.
Captain's log, stardate 5554.8. We have come upon one of the most fascinating discoveries we have ever seen. Plant life of extraordinary intelligence and technology. However, they have captured Mr. Spock, apparently under the orders of a human named Caniculus. Lieutenant Uhura is trying to locate any reference to such a man in order to unravel the mystery of this giant human.
In this episode, the Enterprise has been ordered to survey a new planet, and they're getting a strange power reading. On the planet, there's a sort of strange pink thistle on legs.
Yes, more pink things. Well done. It's the planet Phylos, by the way. And this is a Retlaw plant. Retlaw? This is like the adventure game Doogie Rev backwards. It's Walter, isn't it?
Oh, God.
I know, what a cheeky bugger. Although of all the things to name after himself, a small pink thing. Wow.
A small pink thistle with legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. The away team can tell that they're being scanned. Sulu stupidly picks up the thistle and gets... We don't know whether it's stung or stuck by a thorn or what it is.
Yeah, you don't touch the alien stuff, you idiot. I mean, at least they're staying true to his interest in botany, which is nice, but you'd think a botanist would know better to touch the prickly thing.
Spock and Kirk are getting a reading of a humanoid of incredible strength. Before they can investigate any further, they're interrupted by Sulu nearly dying.
It's cool design work inside the building, though.
Yeah.
I love the way they do these long panoramic things, and then it obviously saves on the animation. We do a much bigger picture and just have the camera pointed a bit and then zoom across.
Yeah.
But it really gives an epic scale that, to be honest, the original series never had, because their sets were pretty crap.
So, a weird-ass green tentacled aliens appear that turn out to be, we find out, intelligent plants.
Phylosians. The leader is called Agmar.
Agmar.
Yes. And they're not pink or purple, which is,
No, it's
refreshing.
green. These
These were included on Roddenberry's insistence. Since he wanted to do stuff with the animated series they couldn't do with in
fair
live
enough.
action. That's cool, but you can see how that might irk the writer somewhat. It's like, I've got to include talking plants now, have I?
Yeah.
Joys. Guess who's doing the voice?
Oh, is it Jimmy Doohan?
Yep, man of a million voices, most of them the same.
Yes. Yes, so Agmar says, welcome to Thylos. Says that they are a peaceful race. They give Sulu an antidote, which works very quickly. So Kirk is...
As McCoy refers to it, some alien dewdrop.
Yes.
Which just made me think of my dad, because dewdrop was one of his insults.
Okay, fair enough. I found it very odd expression. It must be a United Statesian thing.
Clearly not, if my dad uses it as well. Unless he picked it up from a film.
It may have done, yeah. Anyway, even though, this is what gets me. Bones is like, you're not putting that in him and whatever. And you're just like, but he's dying. What have you got to lose, you dipshit? Anyway, they comment on how effective it is. And then you have Kirk saying, thank you for your help, but I don't like not knowing shit. And I'm thinking, well, you're not doing very well. Then, what are you doing going exploring strange new worlds? Because there's going to be questions you can't answer. Anyway, and they say that humanoids have visited before, and they're wearing universal translators. That's how they can talk. And basically, there aren't very many of them. They're introduced to... It's actually not their ancestors. It's one generation before, and they're all dead. There was a plague inadvertently caused by humans, but they said that they then worked to fix it. And it sounds like... but I could be mishearing what McCoy says, that it's the streptococcal virus, which we all have and sometimes can become like strep B throat, and there's variations of it that can be potentially very serious, but if you catch it in time, it's perfectly treatable. And I think that this is the same virus that he's saying is the problem, that it just doesn't exist in their world. Mm-hmm. And I like the inclusion of this because it's one of the reasons, although it may or may not have been deliberate on Walter Koenig's part, I don't know, but it's one of the reasons that so many Native Americans died. Is not because they were deliberately killed, it's because that we brought...
Although quite a few of them were, but yeah.
No, but a very high proportion died because European settlers brought with them diseases that the native population had no immunity to. And then the crew try and sort of draw on their weapons, but there's a weapons deactivation
Again,
field.
this is the second episode in a row, isn't it? They've done this.
Yeah. So
they're not allowed to use their phasers because it's a kiddies show or something.
I don't know.
I mean, in the original series, they'd used the phasers and it wouldn't have any effect. So.
And then the crew are then attacked by... Well, they look a bit like pterodactyls, but again, they're plants.
They get called swoopers later on.
Yeah.
And guess what colour they are?
Purple.
Purple.
But it turns out to be a distraction because they've taken Spock, because the Master wants Spock. And he's a human, a Dr. Stavros Caniculus.
5.
Yeah, Caniculus 5. And says that there's nothing they could... Agmar says there's nothing they can do, return to the ship.
Koenig was originally told he'd get to do the voice for that character.
Oh.
And they auditioned him, but he felt they never had any intention on using him, which is mean.
Yeah.
Guess who ended up doing it at no extra cost to the production? Yeah.
So, having been told that they must leave, the crew do, but they're obviously going to come up with a plan. On the Enterprise, they've now adjusted the scanners to pick up the plant beings. And Uhura is doing a search for Caniculus in the history bank. They try like a sort of phaser stun from the ship. And which is logical, because you think, because it could be like a dome shield effect that won't let you use the weapons inside, and maybe it would be effective if they fired from outside, but it doesn't work. So then it's like, we're going to attack them with clubs and knives. And then it's like, how's the special equipment going? And it's, McCoy has talked about how he comes from a generation of southern farmers or something. Uhura now has the info.
Yeah, we hear it from the computer.
Yeah.
Whose voice was that?
Usually Majel Barrett.
Yeah, it wasn't here.
Jimmy Doohan.
No, that would have been amazing. If not slightly racist, because it's Nichelle Nichols.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess because Chappell wasn't in this, they figured it wasn't worth having Majel Barrett just for the computer voice. And got Nichelle Nichols to do it. But, I'm sure they came close. There's a nice reference to the eugenics wall.
Yes.
Bit of continuity.
Yeah, and there was a plan to sort of create a plant race.
I mean, it wouldn't have been quite so good, the Wrath of Khan, if, Khan and his buddies had just all been carrots or something, would it?
No. It would have been a bit different if, they finally got to meet Khan and he was like 7 foot tall.
Yeah, and a leak.
A malevolent sprout.
Yes.
So this is a reference I don't get, and I'm hoping you can help with. They talk about how there's been rumours of a modern Diogenes or Diogenes, or
Yes.
what's a Diogenes?
Diogenes, I Googled this. He's a Greek philosopher, one of the founders of cynicism, and a general critic of anything to do with the establishment.
Okay.
Well, there you go. You do learn.
Yes. And apparently he's been looking for the perfect specimen, which sounds a bit Nazi to me.
Yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it?
They speculate about cloning, and they say that, he is calling himself Caniculus 5.
But why is he huge?
They don't explain it.
They don't explain at any point why all these clones are huge.
Nope. And they just say he must have been cloning himself.
Okay.
And then there's got a plan that they're going to beam back down, but they want it to look like they've gone and to beam down surreptitiously. So as soon as they've landed, they want Scotty to fly off, but then come back again.
Yes. The away team discover the Phylosians are preparing a fleet of very Flash Gordon-style rockets. Kirk captures Agmar and demands the return of Spock, but the plant man says the Vulcan is the perfect specimen for Caniculus. He reveals they're the last of a dying people, overripe presumably, and takes them down into a tunnel via a cool remote-controlled lift, which also is a sort of hover disc thing. That's
cool.
Great, that is. Their shadowed outlines have to run, though. I mean, because, that's the way they cheaply do it. When they're attacked by the swoopers, they end up in a room where Spock is unconscious on a snooker table for some reason. I don't know why they did that. Caniculus appears and introduces them to Spock 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Who's also massive. Why?
For no reason. Never explained. I mean, I guess there'd be better peacekeepers if they're massive in some ways, but you've got to build massive spaceships for them.
It's never, ever explained why they're so enormous.
The swoopers enter the room, and the away team don masks and fire gas at them. Not like that. Which turns out to be McCoy's great-granddaddy's weed spray. It probably contained mint julep or something. Spock will soon be dead, though, as the machine has drained his mind to transfer to Spock 2, and it's getting all a bit Spock's brain at this point.
Yes.
Kirk complains to Spock 2 that his original's death is meaningless if it is only to create a giant version of himself.
Well, yeah.
Well, quite.
Yeah.
Uhura manages to break through the communication barrier because she's awesome, burning up the Enterprise's reserves in the process, and reports that record state Caniculus was to create a peacekeeping force of giants.
Yeah.
Kirk points out there has been peace in the Federation for over 100 years. What about that war with the Klingons he had just 10 years ago then? I mean, to be fair, that's Disco's fault. It isn't, animated series' fault, but it does mess the continuity up, doesn't it? Thank you, Disco.
Well, you say that, but they're not happy with the Klingons, are they? I mean, they still fight in the original series.
But there's no all-out war. There's the occasional confrontation. And, of course, the Organians. Yeah, the Organians stop a war, effectively. So there's also a mention of the Kazinti, more of whom in a later podcast. Kirk claims erroneously that Caniculus's info is out of date. He also quotes the IDIC, or IDIC.
And that's where the word infinite comes from, presumably, an infinite Vulcan.
Maybe. Claiming it would be at odds with an army of Spocks enforcing peace. Somehow. Don't really understand the logic there. Never mind.
Well, I think it's that if it's infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and what you've got is an army of Spocks enforcing Spock's version of peace, where has your diversity gone?
Well, except I don't think they really mean that there's only going to be giant Spocks. It's just giant Spocks will be keeping the peace. So there'll be lots of variety still. It's just they'll have to behave themselves, otherwise giant Spock's going to tread on them. Anyway, Phylosians attack, and Sulu very campily fends one off with a throw. Hope they're not trying to suggest he knows martial arts, just because... Yeah. You've killed Spock! Kirk cries out rather unrealistically. Somewhat undermined also by his impassive expression.
Yeah.
The animation doesn't change that much. Giant Spock does the Vulcan mind touch, which we all know so much about. Hang on. To return the original's mind. I mean, it's a very traditional Trek solution, although they'd never call it the mind touch, obviously.
No, it's the mind meld, isn't it?
Yep. Giant Spock and Caniculus will work on saving the Phylosians so they can join the Federation. So, plant people to look forward to there.
Yep.
Kirk asks if Sulu would teach him the camp throw. Sulu claims you have to be inscrutable to pull it off. Oh. You know, I said the animated series didn't have any racism.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty near the mark, because it was always the inscrutable Orientals, wasn't it, back in the day? In its defence, for a laugh, Kirk then claims that his helmsman is the most scrutable person he knows. I mean,
Scrutable isn't a word.
well, it is. I looked it up, but I had to look it up because I've heard it never, basically.
Yeah.
But it's probably one of those words that's fallen out of use,
Yeah.
but inscrutable we still use.
Yeah.
There's a few words like that, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, it might be a compliment. I'm not completely sure. But yeah, Sula gives a smile and a wink anyway, which is our episode end. Wow.
Yeah.
Cannonball balls time.
Rock on, Tommy, you'll do for me.
This is daft, isn't it?
Very. I mean, I really like the idea of the plant people.
That's great. Yeah.
And I like the callback to the eugenics.
Yep.
But Giant Spock makes no fucking sense.
None of the clone giants make any
No.
sense at all. I don't know why they did it. For a laugh, maybe. Just because they could. I bet Roddenberry went, and do a giant Spock as well. And Koenig was like, right, okay. Yeah. And of course, the giant Spock skeleton will turn up in Lower Decks Cache on his eyes open in season 2, which is rather nice. But, yeah, okay, it's a bit silly. But I don't have a problem with this being canon. I mean, it references the eugenics laws, for heaven's sake. I mean, Disco arguably isn't canon because it disagrees with this, and this came first. So, screw you, Disco. So, yeah, I'm happy with calling this canon. Ha ha ha. Rock on, Tommy.
Fine. Other than Lower Decks, do we get plant people in anything else?
I'm sure we must do plant-based life forms. I mean, it's usually silicon-based life forms, isn't it, in various forms? But there must be one, and I'm stretching my imagination now. I think during the edit, this might be the point where I come in with some revelation. I mean, unfortunately, all I can think of at the moment is Doctor Who and the Vervoids, which is never a good thought to be having at any point.
No.
So let's move on swiftly.
Okay.
The Crinoids are better.
Yeah.
Editing Peter here, and as Emery correctly identified, the only other plant-based life form in Star Trek that I could find anyway, and let us know if there's one I've overlooked, is Narj from Lower Decks. I have no bones, yet I must flee.
Whoopsie.
We hear from Jeffrey Mark Hyman. This one is wild. Sentient plant people, pterodactyls with tendrils, giant clone Spock. Save some ideas for the rest of the episodes, people. There you are. And we've heard from the Llama God.
I've got dogs, got to take fix a coig. Sheer, yeah. I'm seeing double. There are 4 Spocks. Now, this is more like it, isn't it? An episode which is proper Star Trek because it's daring to ask the important questions. And the important question it's asking this time is, what if Spock was really, really big? No, but really, this is more like it. After the slightly emptier and a lot less interesting previous episode about Tribbles, which was disappointing, this one is more like it, using animation to do things that Trek couldn't have done in a live-action budget, which was pretty much nothing anyway by season 3. And what they do is to do something really, really bizarre. We've got plant people, we've got giants. Yes, this is great, isn't it? This is great. The Enterprise crew beams down to an alien landscape, which does look properly alien, unless you've watched any episodes of He-Man and Master of the Universe, that is, in which case you'll find the general style and look of the background to be somewhat familiar. It looks a bit like Eternia, some of that, but never mind, it still looks good. It's different to what we saw in the live action series, so that's good. And we've got plant people that are properly alien. I mean, yeah, sure, they're still kind of humanoid roughly, but they've got lots of limbs. The limbs don't work like people. That design couldn't be pulled off by anyone in a costume, so yeah, again, brilliant use of design work there. And of course, giants. It makes no sense, but why the hell not? Because we're limited only by imagination and by the fact that we don't pay the animators very much as well. But aside from that, we're not limited by anything here. And they just do wacky stuff, and it's great. And of course, also we get dragons, flying purple plant dragons. I'm sure that Anne-Marie is very excited by that. Again, the noises that the purple plant dragons make when they're flying and attacking is a very familiar screech. Again, if you've watched any of the He-Man Master of the Universe cartoons. But again, something that really, really couldn't have been done on a TV show budget unless they had a lot of fishing wire. The actual story is quite interesting as well, given we've got this whole idea of evolved plant species, which is just really nice, a really nice, different concept. And an unexpected dive into the deep Star Trek lore as well, as we have Caniculus, who is an escapee and a participant in the eugenics wars back on Earth. Wow, a callback to Space Seed. I mean, at the time, this was something that had never been done. So, yeah, this is very exciting. And a touch of cloning as well, because he cloned himself and made himself giant for no particular reason. And he kidnapped Spock because he needs Spock's brain. Because of course he does. This is following nicely on in the footsteps of season 3, where something's happened to Spock's brain yet again. It wasn't just Spock's brain, remember? Several episodes where he lost his mind. What I also really like is how Caniculus's plan is to create a master race to take over the universe. And to help him, he clones Spock, and Spock's just like, nah. And that's it. That's the resolution of the episode. There isn't an exciting phaser shootout, or a fist fight, or a starship chase, or anything like that. Spock just goes, nah. And Giant Nicholas goes, yeah, right, okay then. And that in itself is much, much more Star Trek, isn't it? They could have easily done something a lot more fighty, but no, they've actually gone for the triumph of idea over action. And again, that's Star Trek. That's great. I love this. I really enjoy this. So yeah, this episode is definitely a success in that count. There's also some nice character moments as well. I mean, yes, obviously, I finally found out where that I won't say words on the internet and his dick fell off meme came from. And it's nice to see Uhura and Sulu get stuff to do as well in this, which is something that didn't happen enough in the live action series either. So yeah, that's also good as well. And the episode ends with, what, is that meant to be an innuendo or something? It's definitely Sulu, oh my, looked to the camera before he even coined the oh my catchphrase. So yeah, a bit of an odd one there. Sulu, you're the most scrutable man I know. Is he? Is he really? I don't know. I'm curious as to what they're getting at there. Anyway, yeah, no, this is just great. This is just great. Love this one, really. And I know I forgot to answer this question in the previous feedback, but is it canon or is it balls? Oh, this one's canon. This has got to be canon. I mean, just look at how bizarre it is. Come on, it's much more interesting than anything we've done recently. Is it gods? No. Is it an advanced alien life form? No, not really. It's just plant people and someone who is a giant clone of an existing war criminal. Yeah, that's great. This should be canon. This should be canon, not balls at all. Love it. More like this, please. Thank you very much. So, as ever, I'll be looking forward to finding out what everyone else made of this. I hope that everyone else is eyeing up the vegetarian options a lot more cautiously these days. And until next time, glory to you and your cast.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It is very Eternia looking, yes. I didn't realise that till you said it. It was like, yeah, it's that style, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, this is an example of the sort of episode that I particularly enjoy with the animated series. It's very silly, but at the same and fun, but at the same time, it's got some good ideas in it as well.
And I think it's better and more canon than Spock's brain is. So.
Oh yeah, well that's
if
not.
Spock's brain's going to be canon. This is canon.
Exactly. I mean, yes.
And we've heard from Puri.
Hello orgs, Puri here to talk about the Infinite Vulcan. And we said things would get weird. This one kind of takes a left turn because it starts out pretty normal. You know, they come to a weird planet, it's got plant-based life, some lovely buildings, all the stuff we can do in animation, you know, some proper non-humanoid life. Sulu gets bitten by a fluffy walking plant thing that he just randomly picks up because apparently health and safety means nothing to these people. And the plant people cure him with their spiky tentacles. Let's not think too much into that or look at the fanfic. God. And that all seems to be going on. You've got this idea of, yes, they're a civilization, but they're potentially dying off. There's an illness that might have been brought by humans. And on a normal Trek episode, you'd expect, right, well, McCoy's got to go and formulate a cure, but also they're being attacked by weird squawky bird things and possibly mistrust or something. That's where you'd expect these things to go, but no. Spock gets kidnapped, and when they finally find him, kidnapped by the squawky bird things, which really bugged me. The noise they make just goes through me. But they find that there's a cloned genetic supremacist. I mean, I like the fact that it was a reference back to the eugenics wars, but a cloned genetic Superman who'd happened to clone himself huge for reasons. And he's decided that Spock's mix of logic and humanity will be the key to making a master race that will impose world peace, which is obviously a good idea. That's never gone wrong before. No one has ever fallen afoul of that idea, and literally the eugenics wars. But he's also made him giant and called him Spock 2. Spock Harder, Spock 2 Electric Boogaloo, Spock 2 The Revenge. Was that George? That's 3. But yes, either way. Some nonsense and shoes. I quite liked Kirk saying we've got peace at home. When he says, it's to impose peace. And I liked, again, it's just kind of weird because you look at this giant Spock, and again, the episode just suddenly takes this kind of sharp left turn and goes down that. There's a bit that just made me chortle unintentionally is when the sort of squawky bird tentacle things attack for the second time. Kirk, with both his delivery and the look of the animated figure, just looks fed up by the whole thing. There's that. But yeah, this is the one that's been referenced. It was referenced a couple of times in Lower Decks. We saw a skeleton, and potentially that skeleton might not be Spock 2, that could be Spock 5 by this point, who knows. There was also mentioned that there's a giant Spock, because in the end, giant Spock's left there to do giant Spock stuff with giant genetic person on the planet, and they go off with normal Spock after Kirk makes a speech. There were some bits that clearly shots were mixed up. Spock went from being hugged by McCoy on the ground to back in the glowy bed thing. Again, the shoddiness of the animations there, but I think this one is okay, but it just like I say, it goes kind of bonkers. So, yeah, strap in, guys. This is the animated series. This is the sort of thing to expect. Odd enough, written by Walter Koenig. And that was basically because I think you'll probably told the story. Nimoy fought to get anyone beyond the big three into the cast, and sadly didn't manage to get Walter Koenig in, but did manage to get my script, which I believe Walter Koenig didn't really think was the same thing. But there you go. So yeah, it was. I mean, again, it's not boring, and it surprises you, which are two things that TV quite often doesn't do these days. So yeah, all that remains for me to say is do keep up the good work. I also look forward to the podcast, and I'll see you back in the next one. But until then, bye for now.
Bye. No, definitely not boring.
No, and it does surprise you. I mean, you don't expect giant Spock, do you?
No, nobody expects giant Spock. Yes,
No.
or the comfy chair. Yeah, I mean the shoddy animation is pretty bad. I mean, I love the backgrounds; they're great. It's the figures that are really cheap. At one point, I think it's Spock is just like a head floating because they haven't bothered to do a neck or a.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just weird. At least it's entertaining, isn't it?
it is.
Yes,
It is.
good fun. Just
Yes.
what we need.
Yes.
Grand. Well, next time we shall be covering Yesteryear. Yeah. We're covering that on Wednesday, the 16th of July. Next week, on the 10th, on our Galactica feed, we shall be covering the Babylon 5 episode, Soul Hunter. Yes. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care. Cheery bye.
Boys, boy.
Theme for Star Trek The Animated Series was written by Ray Ellis and Norm Prescott.
Any music used in this podcast is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
We have a Facebook group which you're welcome to join.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Find us on Blue Sky at broadcastammo.bsky.social.
and revorg.bsky.social.
Shut it down!